What is up, everybody? The History Guy here, and I'm excited to be able to bring you this first look at Unity of Command 2, which is a new release that is coming out on November 12th. It'll be available on Steam. I do have a link in the description that will take you to the Steam store page. Obviously, the game is not out yet. I've got an early release beta version of the game, just so we can kind of preview it for you a little bit. If you're at all familiar with Unity of Command, the original, which mainly focused on the Eastern Front in the European war between Germany and Russia, the Soviet Union. This one greatly expands on that, but also expands on the depth of the game. So I'm going to show you some of the tutorials because I want to take a look at some of the new features of the game or introduce you to the features of the game if you're new to Unity of Command. I've played the first game some. I dove in just a tiny bit to this, just so I get a little bit of an idea of what to expect. But we're going to play through some of the tutorials, talk about some of the new features that are available in the game, and some of the great available things. So before we get into the tutorial, though, I want to just show you just what all is covered by Unity of Command 2. You can see here we've got a campaign, a Victory in the West campaign, which begins all the way with the opening of a second front. So you can see right off the bat, it opens Europe 1943. I'm going to let you just watch a little bit of this. So we're just getting caught up on everything that happened in the East, on the Eastern Front, and now we talk about where the Allies go. They're gonna finish off kicking the Axis out of Africa, and then they're gonna go ahead and open that second front, beginning with the invasion of Italy. And that's, I believe, where this campaign will start. Oh, we actually start in Africa. So that's where things begin. You play through some of the early phase of that. I'm just going to go through the beginning of this just to let you see. I'm not really going to play this, just to let you see the opening stages. So we play a couple of things in Tunisia. Then we go to the invasion of Sicily, and we probably work our way up the boot of Italy. I believe Rome fell right around the same time as the Normandy invasion. So those things may be happening simultaneously. But that's one area. But right now, I want to just take a look at the tutorials and talk about some of the new features in the game. This is pretty cool. We are in Louisiana for maneuvers, which my great uncle, who was in the 10th Armored Division, was actually also in Louisiana for his maneuvers. So I'm sorry, 11th Armored Division. I was thinking of Band of Brothers. There was some 10th Armored involved there. But welcome to Louisiana Maneuvers. This tutorial will teach you the basics of map controls, objectives, unit movement, and front lines. So I'm not going to kind of read every single bit of instruction that it gives us, but you know, I mean, you have the basics for things that you do with kind of dragging in and out and all that kind of stuff. You can see right here, and that's going to be something that's covered later on in supply. But it's actually pretty easy to control. You left click on a unit, it shows you where all you can move to. During your turn. It makes it real easy to see those things. And then it's also really easy when you go into combat to actually see what you're dealing with and what your odds are in various combat situations. So we'll just go ahead and deal with some of this, get our movement going. You can see the front line move. Your areas of control kind of move with your units as you kind of do those things. There's really not a lot to the movement part of things. List of objectives is over here on the right. In this scenario, you have 2 primary objectives and 2 bonus objectives. Those are key in all of the missions. You get certain numbers of prestige points for completing missions, which are going to help you. They're your in-game currency. That's how you buy reinforcements. You buy these cards, which give you kind of perks. And you get all the things that help you to be able to win the campaign. And you pass the missions, basically, by completing those objectives. Lower part of the map, you find your units. You left-click on a unit, and you get all the information about said unit. This is a unit that's in the 2nd Army. It's part of the 2nd U.S. Armed combat command. There's really not a lot to the movement thing. I think we'll go ahead and go right to the combat training, because that's going to show you a lot more, and we can still talk about movement as we get into that. So here we go. We're going to get into the basic combat training now. We're in September of 1941. We're back in Louisiana maneuvers, and we are going to fight some pretend Germans here. Unit strength is measured in steps. Steps are the colored dots, which you can see there. They're kind of like chits if you ever played like tabletop wargaming, or how many hits you can take before your unit disappears. So if a step is hollowed out, it is suppressed but not yet a casualty. The colored icon represents specialists. These are powerful additions to your units. So here we've got the 33rd U.S. Infantry Division. They've also got 105 millimeter M2A1s with them, so they've got some artillery support, which is really nice to have. So basically all you need to do to attack is you move into a neighboring unit, and then you see right there, you just hover over, and it tells you that your expected casualties are about 1 for you and 1 for the enemy. So if the casualties don't seem to benefit, then maybe it behooves you not to attack. Like right here, much better situation. It's got 0 for me and 2 for him. So we're going to go ahead and make that attack. 2 KIA. He actually kind of dissolved there, and we actually get to move forward. So now we're going to move these guys up, and that's obviously not an attack that we want to make. And you can see kind of the bonuses over there in the card to the right. It tells you some of the reasons why those things are the way that they are. So obviously that's not a predicted outcome that we really benefit from. Same here, so we're not going to make that attack. We've got artillery sitting back here. So finish off your weak enemy unit on your side of the river, which we've already done. Then block the bridge with your nearby infantry, which we've also already done. Enemy failed to secure the bridge. You have a powerful tank unit handy to exploit this mistake. So we're going to go ahead and start moving these guys up. We've got a headquarters right here. This is our supply, which I was going to talk a little bit about supply, but I think I'll actually wait until we get into the logistics part, because it'll talk all about that supply, and it'll explain it far better than I really could anyway. So that's really all there is to combat. There's not a lot else for me to show you in the tutorial. Tanks that are stuck are... unit that moves into a zone of control is stuck there for the remainder of the turn. So that one unit can't go any further because he moved into a zone of control. Capture the enemy stragglers, then proceed to move east with your tanks. All right, that's cool. So I guess we'll go ahead and finish that turn. Now we're going to see some of the enemy units coming into position. And we can see the enemy's supply back here too. And you can actually, there's a button you can hit that allows you to actually see specifically where the enemy has supply and where he doesn't. But again, we'll talk about that once we get into the logistics part of this campaign. And we're not going to do that, and we're definitely not going to do that. So we're going to use, I don't know if we can move the army headquarters. I guess we can't. This looks pretty promising. We're not going to move him, though, and we're definitely not going to attack with either of those guys, so we're going to go ahead and take another turn. I'm really excited to get into the campaign, and I feel like that's going to be a lot of fun when the time comes. You have an air attack theater assets at hand. Use these in all that you have learned so far to take out your objective. So air attack right here, and it's obviously affected by certain things. Right click or escape to exit. Very nice. We're going to actually use it down here because it seems like these guys are a little more stubborn than the others. Nice. Let's see if that helped at all. Do I have any more? Oh, I get to do it again. That's cool. Now we softened that target and made it a little easier to deal with. Took prisoners. Very cool. Get some prestige for that. I'm going to go ahead and cross the river before I hit these guys. Nice. So things are going quite nicely at the moment. Obviously, it's a tutorial, so I shouldn't expect anything different, I guess. We're going to hit these guys from the rear. I'm going to let the tanks move up. I guess we can't. Finish them. Took some more prisoners. That was kind of an even deal there. It probably wasn't ideal, but we got some support from the tanks who had not fired yet. So they fired from across the river and finished those guys off. We've still got some Germans right here, though. Oh, we've also got air recon, so we can kind of see what's going on back here. And I guess there's not a lot to see. Okay. So he's pulling back now. We're just going to press this attack and finish him off. Second Army, 2 CPs to stragglers. Hello. Nice. So let's finish these guys off. Oh, that was a mistake. I should not have made that attack. It was so obvious that I was going to lose, and I'm just not even paying attention. I'm just kind of plowing forward haphazardly here, and that's not an ideal thing to do. Let's go ahead and soften these guys up some more. Nice. All right. Took some prisoners, but couldn't attack. There we go. All right, I think we're just about there. I could have moved these guys down in the south, but I'm trying to take the objective. So, you know, honestly, it's there's a lot of depth to this game, but I don't feel like the learning curve is super high. It's not one of those things where you're going to have to spend hours and hours just getting used to the controls. You can pretty much dive right into this game. You're not going to be an expert by any means, and there certainly is some added depth, and there are some layers to this. But to just kind of be able to dive right in and start fighting is certainly doable. You're not going to dive right in and win necessarily, but if you're looking for a game that's got some challenge and also some strategic depth to it, but isn't overwhelming and isn't just a daunting task just to get your hands around it, this might be a good game for you. All right, so we completed the objectives. Let's go ahead and dive into the logistics tutorial now. Here we go. So we're on to logistics now. We're going to learn the basics of supply hubs, and supply disruption. So all key components of this game. During your campaign, your success or failure will oftentimes come down to how well you handle your supply network and how effectively you pick apart the enemies. So behind every great leader, there was an even greater logistician. All units need supply. If a unit doesn't receive supply, it will gradually become weaker every passing turn. So you hold V and you see the supply network. You can see the white bars indicate a hex is in supply, and then red means that it is not. To hold B, you see the enemy supply. Same deal. You can see where he's in supply and where he's not. You can see that these railroads offer supply kind of all the way along, and then you have so many hexes out from the railroad to kind of give you those things. So check your supply network at the end of every turn. Supply flows along rail lines that are connected to supply sources. Supply sources can be rail, found at map edges, or large ports. Locate your supply sources. So we can see rail supply source here is where our primary kind of deal is for us right there. It's coming from right there and then along this rail line. Supply hubs are used to spread supply beyond the rail line. Supply hubs are shown as 3 large barrels, like so. The number beneath them indicates how many trucks are in the hub. Simply put, more trucks equals more range. So 1 truck in this particular supply hub. There's a strong fortified enemy unit in the north, but its supply route is vulnerable. Using your infantry, surround this unit. So we've already got him kind of surrounded there. So let's go ahead and move our infantry into position. We've got him cut off now. View the enemy supply, and we can now see he is not in supply. He's cut off, and in a few turns he will be weak enough for the infantry to deal with. While infantry holds the enemy in check, your tanks are free to move toward your primary objective, Alexandria, down here. And we're going to move right toward where he's got some supply right there. And that's going to further cut him off. As soon as we can grab those trucks, that'll be nice. Second Army, 1 enemy located right in here. Excellent. Your tanks are now out of supply. V. Fix that by expanding your northern supply hub. Click the truck and barrels in the upper game bar right there. Then select the hub and use the mouse wheel or arrows to expand its range. Press enter to accept. All right. All right. Sweet. Obviously, it probably means less supply for said tanks, but that's as high as we can go with it. Okay. So we're going to hit enter. Awesome. Everybody's in supply now. That definitely is one of those things that if you forget about during a battle could really mess you up big time. And you really got to concentrate on keeping those folks in supply when the enemy starts getting behind you. I can see how that could be a huge, huge deal moving forward. All right, I guess we take our turn. Well done. The red exclamation mark next to the enemy unit means it's been out of supply for 1 turn. You'll notice the unit's condition worsening with each passing turn, okay? One final matter to address, supply disruption. Supply disruption can cause a unit that is in supply to not receive supply. Disruption is out of your control and caused by things like bad weather, rough terrain, and more. So that's cool because, you know, a lot of World War II, especially in the Western Front, which is what we're going to be concentrating on, was affected by supply. You know, Patton's army had to stop their rapid advance across France to give up supply for Monty's Operation Market Garden, for example. The units in Bastogne, the 101st Airborne, didn't have supply when they were defending, so those things were definitely affected by stuff like that. Hexes that suffer from disruption will have some red inside the white box in supply view. Okay, so we saw some of that already, and I wondered what that was about. The amount of red indicates the level of disruption. Okay. If the half bar is filled up, okay, we get that. So not a lot of disruption for most of those, just a little bit of red. The main way to deal with disruption is through your headquarters. We will touch upon this in the next tutorial. I thought this was the last tutorial, but I guess not. All right, let's finish up here. Once you take Alexandria, place a new supply hub there by using the truck and arrow in the upper game bar. Okay, cool. So this one expands supply network. This one adds a new hub. Awesome. Okay. I want to capture this guy first. Yeah, there we go. So he didn't do much there. Nothing at all, really. We'll finish this guy off. Oh, we're not going to get to attack. Okay. Give me Alexandria. Thank you. Can we attack this guy yet? I feel like we can. No. No, we can't. No, I guess not. These guys are dug in big time, I guess. All right. We'll get to our next turn so we can take this objective and we can place our new supply hub. Come on. Why won't you let me take the town? Oh, it's right there. That's why I was trying to move into a place. It was not. Okay. New supply hub. Create new hub. Left click to place the hub. Oh, it won't let me do it yet, huh? All right. We have to get across the river first. I guess we got to destroy this guy. I don't know what's going on. So I guess what it is there will be future tutorials. Remember, this is still the beta version of the game. The full release isn't for another week. So I imagine there will be more than just basic tutorials eventually available. That's just what's available right now. There are achievements, there are statistics. You can look at player stats when you get to the full version that's not currently available. But let's do one more thing while I've still got you here for this first one. Let's just take a look at a couple of these test play maps. For example, let's go ahead and look at Overlord. I'm kind of curious about that. So you can play a computer opponent or you can do a hot seat opponent. It's only 8 turns, so it must just be the initial invasion itself that you're playing through on this particular map. So we'll take a look and see what that has to offer. Here we go. June 6, 1944. So SHAEF, that's Supreme Headquarters Allied Expeditionary Force. That's who we are. We are basically Eisenhower, I guess. So there's the actual, those are the words that Eisenhower said. Soldiers, sailors, and airmen of the Allied Expeditionary Force, you're about to embark on the great crusade toward which we have striven these many months. The eyes of the world are upon you. The hopes and prayers of liberty-loving people everywhere march with you. By the way, while I'm thinking about it, and it's not for everybody, but every so often I like to throw out great movies that I've seen. And I really did enjoy the movie about Eisenhower. I think it's called Ike, Countdown to D-Day, and it stars Tom Selleck without a mustache playing Dwight Eisenhower. And I really enjoyed just kind of seeing how they followed him in those moments. It's not real in-depth, but it was a cool look at those days and kind of a glimpse into the stress and the decisions that had to be made during that time. So you can see here we probably get the we've got the Navy, we've got got our defensive Navy fire there. We've got our airborne units coming in. We're going to have to drop those. That's the 82nd right there. 101st. Now, if I remember correctly, they actually kind of swung around this way and came in from over here to land, but maybe I'm wrong about that. This is probably the British. Yeah, that's the British airborne. So there gives you a little glimpse of the Overlord mission. It doesn't look like it's real long or in depth. It says there's 11 turns to it. Let's take a look at just a couple of the others. All right, how about Market Garden? Let's take a look at that one. That one says it's only 5 turns, so that's even shorter. These turns seem awful short. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe once you get into the game, it doesn't quite seem that way, especially once you're fighting the campaign. So here's Market Garden, Hell's Highway, and obviously a very narrow battlefield that we're dealing with, because that's what it was. It was a drop behind enemy lines, trying to secure a bunch of bridges to allow the British armored divisions to kind of move up that highway and open an entrance into the German heartland. So there you have that, and you can kind of see what we're dealing with. You've got that whole area, the bridge too far once you get up all the way into Arnhem. You've got the objectives right here, Eindhoven, Nijmegen, Arnhem, Dalen, Zuiderzee. I don't even know how to pronounce some of these, and I don't want to get it wrong. But there you have that. So I don't think I'll show you a whole lot more right now. We'll actually go ahead and start playing the campaign. Watch for that probably sometime tomorrow. I'll play the first mission of the campaign. I do have some other playthroughs that I'm still working on that I want to get caught up with again, because I know some of you are waiting for those things. So those will be coming as well. But thank you guys so much. Drop a comment. Let me know what you think of this game, what you're looking forward to about it, what you like about what you see, what you maybe don't like so far. But leave a comment. Tell me what you think. And please, as I said before, please leave a like, and we'll bring you some more gameplay videos to show you a little bit more in depth what this has to offer. Thanks for watching.